Hello everyone, welcome to Step into History. Today you are in Petra, one of the greatest cities ever carved into stone. The year is 36 AD. If you enjoyed this journey, like the video, subscribe to Step into History, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Alright, then let the visual journey begin.
This is the 𝐒𝐭𝐞𝐩𝐈𝐧𝐭𝐨𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 of this geological fault line and into the blinding rose-colored heart of 𝐒𝐭𝐞𝐸𝐬𝐈𝐧𝐭𝐸𝐬𝐿, the magnificent capital of the Nabatean kingdom, known to the Western world as Petra. We have completely discarded the Hollywood illusions of hidden holy grails and empty silent canyons. Using advanced AI trained on cutting-edge hydraulic archaeology, surviving Greek and Roman diplomatic records, and the newly excavated luxury pool complexes of the Arabian desert, we have resurrected the absolute golden age of the Nabatean Empire. We are going to experience a city that defies all geographical logic. Imagine engineering a lush, watery paradise in the middle of a barren wasteland, running a global monopoly that dictates the economy of Rome, and engaging in high-stakes desert diplomacy with the most powerful empire on the planet. This is 24 hours in the absolute zenith of Petra. At 5 a.m., the dawn light begins to bleed down the sheer cliffs. You emerge from the claustrophobic darkness of the 𝐒𝐭𝐞𝐲𝐈𝐧𝐭𝐨𝐇𝐢𝐬𝐭𝐨𝐫𝐲𝐲, and the view hits you with staggering architectural force. Directly in front of you, carved flawlessly into the living rose-red rock face, is the 𝐒𝐭𝐞𝐲𝐈𝐧𝐭𝐨, the treasury. It is a masterpiece of Hellenistic architecture, towering 130 feet high, but it is not a bank, and it was not built by Romans. It is the mausoleum of your former king, Aretas III. As the first rays of the morning sun strike the intricate sandstone columns, the iron oxide in the rock ignites into a brilliant fiery crimson. You are a strategos, a high-ranking Nabatean civic leader and master of the city's trade logistics. You wear a finely woven tunic of imported Egyptian linen, bound with a thick leather belt adorned with heavy silver medallions. You do not stop to stare at the treasury. You walk past it, following the widening canyon as it opens up into a sprawling, densely populated metropolis. Over 30,000 people live in this valley. The cliffs are honeycombed with thousands of carved facades, but the valley floor is a sea of freestanding stone villas, massive temples, and bustling markets. By 7 a.m., you arrive at the commercial heart of the city, the colonnaded street. This is the staging ground for the most lucrative monopoly in the ancient world. The Nabateans control the incense route. Every single temple in the Roman Empire, every shrine in Greece.
Hello again. If you've made it this far, subscribing to Step into History really helps. Now, let's continue where we left off.
And every burial in Egypt requires unimaginable quantities of frankincense and myrrh. These precious tree resins only grow in the deep south of the Arabian Peninsula, in modern-day Yemen and Oman. But to get those resins to the Mediterranean, the caravans must cross 2,000 miles of the most unforgiving, lethal desert on Earth. And only the Nabateans know the secret locations of the deep-water cisterns hidden in the dunes. You walk into the central sorting exchange. The air is so thick with the scent of raw myrrh that it leaves a sharp, citrus-like taste on the back of your tongue. Hundreds of exhausted, groaning camels are being unloaded. You are inspecting the cargo. The resin is packed in heavy leather sacks. You break open a seal and inspect the golden teardrop-shaped crystals. You are calculating the staggering wealth before you. The Romans pay their weight in gold for this. The Roman philosopher Pliny the Elder will soon complain that the Nabateans are draining the Roman economy dry, taking millions of sesterces every year. You know the Romans desperately want to conquer Petra to control this wealth, but they cannot march an army across the desert without dying of thirst. You hold their economy hostage with a handful of tree sap. By 10 a.m., the Arabian sun clears the mountain peaks, and the valley basin begins to heat up like a stone oven. But you do not seek shelter in a dark cave. You walk toward the absolute ultimate flex of Nabatean wealth and engineering, the Great Pool Complex. Petra receives less than 6 inches of rain a year. It is a bone-dry desert. Yet, spread out before you in the center of the city is an enormous open-air swimming pool, larger than an Olympic-sized basin, surrounded by beautifully manicured, lush botanical gardens. The water reflects the blue sky and the red cliffs like a giant mirror. How is this possible? You are standing in a masterpiece of hydraulic engineering. The Nabateans have carved hundreds of miles of subtle, perfectly graded channels into the surrounding mountains. They capture every single drop of winter rain and channel it through a massive, invisible network of terracotta pipes, pressure-regulated systems, and sand filtration tanks. You walk past a series of spectacular cascading fountains. This isn't just for drinking. To display millions of gallons of open, evaporating water in the middle of a desert is the ultimate political statement. It tells every visiting foreign diplomat and merchant, we are the masters of nature. We possess impossible wealth. By 1 p.m., the political reality of that wealth requires your immediate attention. You walk toward the Qasr al-Bint, the most important freestanding temple in the city, its massive stone walls towering above the street. But you are not here for religious rituals. You are summoned to the adjacent royal audience hall. King Aretas IV, who holds the magnificent title Philopatris, he who loves his people, is holding court. And today, the stakes are incredibly high. A Roman envoy, sent by the governor of Syria representing Emperor Tiberius, is standing before the king. The diplomatic tension in the room is razor-sharp. King Aretas IV is playing a brilliant, dangerous game of chess with the Roman Empire. Just recently, Aretas's daughter, the Nabatean princess Phasaelis, was married to the Roman-backed ruler of Judea, Herod Antipas. But Antipas humiliatingly divorced her to marry his own sister-in-law, Herodias. Phasaelis narrowly escaped back to Petra. The king is furious. He is currently mobilizing the Nabatean army in the desert, preparing to launch a devastating surprise military strike against Herod Antipas's forces to avenge the insult to his family. But he cannot afford for Rome to intervene. You stand by the king's side as he masterfully handles the Roman envoy. Aretas does not show anger. He speaks in fluent, highly educated Greek. He offers the Roman official lavish gifts of pure frankincense, delicate silver craftsmanship, and assurances of uninterrupted trade revenues flowing into Roman ports. He is buying Rome's neutrality. You watch the Roman envoy accept the tribute, deeply impressed by the sophisticated Hellenistic culture of the court. The envoy leaves, completely unaware that King Aretas has just politically isolated Judea. Within the year, the Nabatean cavalry will ride out and utterly crush Herod Antipas's army, and Rome will stand by and watch. It is a masterclass in independent desert diplomacy. By 4 p.m., the intense heat of the day breaks. You leave the political maneuvering of the palace and visit the industrial sector of the city. You enter a large, shaded pottery workshop. The Nabateans are not just merchants. They are some of the finest artisans in the ancient world. You watch a master potter sitting at a spinning wooden wheel. He is crafting Nabatean painted fineware. The clay is refined to an incredible purity. The bowl he is shaping is literally as thin as an eggshell, so delicate that light passes directly through the fired ceramic. He uses a fine brush to paint intricate, flowing, dark red patterns of vines, ivy, and desert flowers onto the pale clay. You inspect the final products, packing them carefully in straw. This pottery is so highly prized that it is completely immune to the changing trends of the Mediterranean. Even wealthy Romans in Pompeii and Alexandria collect this impossibly thin, beautiful desert pottery. It is a testament to a society that has transitioned perfectly from rugged nomadic wanderers to masters of high culture and delicate art. By 7 p.m., the evening shadows stretch across the canyon, turning the red rock to a deep, cooling purple. You attend a grand symposium, a banquet held in a sprawling, rock-cut dining hall overlooking the city. The dining hall, a triclinium, features massive U-shaped stone benches carved directly out of the mountain. You recline on brightly dyed wool cushions. The Nabateans have heavily adopted the Greek style of banqueting, but they maintain incredibly unique, ancient traditions from their Bedouin past. The feast is magnificent. You are served roasted camel meat, seasoned with imported Indian pepper, fresh flatbreads baked on hot stones, and sweet dates from the oases. The wine flows freely, poured from beautiful imported glass jugs. But there is a strict, culturally enforced rule at this table. The Roman geographer Strabo, who had friends who visited Petra, recorded that the Nabatean banquets had a strict limit of 11 cups of wine per person, specifically to prevent drunken loss of control. More importantly, you watch as King Aretas IV himself stands up and personally serves water to his guests. In Rome or Egypt, a king serving his subjects would be an unthinkable humiliation. But here, the Nabatean king maintains the ancient egalitarian traditions of the desert tribes. A leader is only a leader because he provides for his people. The king smiles, pouring wine and water, reinforcing the deep, unshakable loyalty of his administrators. It is a society that has achieved unimaginable global wealth without losing the soul of the desert. By 10 p.m., the banquet concludes, and you step out into the cool, silent desert night. The sky over the deep canyon is a narrow, brilliant ribbon of stars. You walk away from the residential villas and approach the sacred precincts. The Nabateans are deeply religious, but their theology is profoundly different from the Greeks or Romans. You do not see marble statues of men with beards or women in flowing robes. As you walk along the rock faces, you see large, perfectly rectangular blocks of stone carved directly into the niches of the cliffs. These are beetles, the houses of God. You stand before a massive block representing Dushara, the Lord of the Mountain, the supreme deity of Petra. Beside him is a stone representing Al-Uzza, the goddess of power and the stars. The Nabateans practice an anechoic religion. They believe that the gods cannot be represented by the human form. The divine is found in the pure, unshaped, enduring presence of the rock itself. You place a small offering of burning frankincense on a carved altar before the stone block. The sweet smoke rises into the clear night air, carrying your prayers for the continued flow of the spring water and the safe return of the caravans. You stand in the silence, listening to the faint, continuous sound of water flowing through the terracotta pipes hidden in the canyon walls. The entire city is asleep, cradled in a fortress of solid stone, protected by geography and sustained by absolute genius. We often view ancient ruins as static, silent monuments to the dead. But walking the streets of Petra in 36 AD reveals a radically different truth. The Nabateans did not carve this city just to build elaborate tombs. They carved it to celebrate the triumph of life over an impossible landscape. They captured the rain. They charted the deadly dunes, and they forced the greatest empires on earth to pay them in gold for the scent of the desert. Petra wasn't built by magic, and it wasn't built by Rome. It was carved by the sheer, relentless willpower of a nomadic people who decided to conquer the desert by turning it into an oasis. The caravans eventually stopped, and the trade routes moved to the open oceans, leaving the rose-red city to the wind and the sand. But the brilliant, unseen engineering beneath the stones remains one of the greatest testaments to human adaptation in history. Thank you for joining. Step into history. For a brief moment, you stepped into a world that once was a city of salt, pitch, and iron-willed people who helped shape the world we live in today. These stories are more than just the past. They are echoes of how we lived, how we struggled, and how we finally broke our chains. If you want to keep exploring lost civilizations and the turning points of time, subscribe and join the journey. Where should we travel next? Until we meet again in the depths of history.